Minnesota. This is Christy Thompson with ChristieLegal, divorce and child custody paralegal and mediator. Today I have with me Tim Bo- Beaudoin, and he is someone who you're going to want to know when you're getting divorced.
Well, hi, Christy. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Tim Beaudoin. I work for LendSmart Mortgage. I'm a branch manager and a loan originator. So what I do is I do manage a couple people, but I originate mortgage loans. So purchases, refinances, equity loans, home improvement loans, and the such. I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but been at it for 30 years, actually just over. So um, I like to think that I've seen just about everything, but every day's a new day. So. Now I know, Christy, you've asked me kind of, what is unique about what I do and bring to the table, and I think that that experience is obviously a big one. And because I've been in this industry for so long, I've established a really um, high-end, large network of like-minded, experienced, trustworthy professionals that I work with. Some work with our company. Some are in the network that I surround myself with. I do have a fantastic loan processor who's actually my assistant, Jessica, extremely experienced. But that the rest of that network is people like Christy or the realtors I work with, title company, attorneys, builders, remodelers, accountants, high quality insurance agent, inspectors, landscapers. They all come into play on all the loans that I work on. Eventually, whether it's when I before we close, after we close, people reach back out to me, years after they've done something. I like to have annual reviews with all of my borrowers because things change. They take on debt or their life changes, life events happens, which kind of brings us to some of the things you and I have been talking about. Um, Unfortunately, it happens. People end up getting divorced, and many of them own homes and have no idea what to do from there. So, and I've worked on tons of these, whether it's one's going to keep the house and pay off the equity of the other one, or they're going to sell the house and then one or both may end up wanting to buy a house and have no idea. Will I qualify? Does child support count? Does separate maintenance count? When does it count for qualifying? So I can help with all of that stuff. And one thing I think I bring to the table that sets me aside, besides the experience of all the different loans I've worked on over the last decades, is that not only have I worked on many of these transactions in the past, but I've been through it personally. So have been married for 25 years, but I also went through a divorce previous to that. My ex-wife and I owned a house together, and we sat down. At that point, neither one of us knew who should keep the house. I mean, does it make sense to keep the house? How do you split the equity and how do you work those things out? And I will tell you, and I'm sure Christy talks to her clients about this all the time. Being cooperative and level-headed, trying to leave as much of that emotion out of it as you possibly can. I mean, everybody wants to be friends. Well, I don't know, maybe not everybody wants to be, but I guess it's a goal of many that you'd like to be at least friendly with your ex when the dust settles. Well, if you split equity in a house and somebody stays there and they don't feel like they got a fair deal, that's not going to end very friendly. So I can tell you from my personal experience, we set aside all the emotions and we figured out it was better for her to keep the house. And then we split equity, and over time, she was able to qualify and pay off equity and such. And it must have worked. We're not close friends today, but we are extremely friendly. Obviously, I've got two children with her now grown and a couple grandkids, but she's also trusted me with a purchase and a refi of her house. in a purchase and a refi of a cabin her and her now husband have together. So it can be done. Um, Knowing the goods and bads, maybe avoiding some pitfalls, um, where to maybe feel like you give up a little to help get the job done. It's a give and take, and that's how things get done. And nothing against divorce attorneys, but I've also seen plenty of these transactions where people have spent $100,000 between the two of them on attorney's fees that should have been stayed with their families. They could have used that to benefit their kids and educations and such. So I just like to help. And other thing I think is unique about me is not every person I help closes a loan. So to me, it's more important that they end up in the best situation that they can be when the dust settles. So that might be the two of you should sell your house, split your equity, and both rent for a while, build credit, whatever the reasons are. But it's not my number one goal to close a loan. It is how I get paid. I'd love to do it for them, but if I treat them with respect and honesty, to me that day will come when they'd like to use my services and will close a loan and they'll buy a house or they'll refi or they'll refer me somebody. So I think that's where I can help. And whether that makes me totally unique, I think, in some cases it does. So I'd like to think that most people would help everybody, but that's not always the case. So,
Awesome. That is some great karma, Tim. You are building some great karma. And that
yeah,
honestly, when you told me about how your ex-wife has, refinanced and financed mortgages with you, I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah.
So, thanks for joining me, Tim, and everybody in Minnesota. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Christy.